Welcome to another installment of Friday Q&A. As always, thank you so much for this week's questions. If you have questions for next week's video, please put them in the comments below. Apologies in advance if I don't answer your question this week. I do try to get back to everybody, but I'll write down questions over the week that I get, not only on these videos, but other videos, and sometimes I will just miss them or forget about them or put them aside for another week. So nothing personal, but hopefully I do get to your questions this week. A quick disclaimer, today's video is sponsored as well. Thank you to today's sponsor, DistroKid. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But first, wah, distortion delay. Delicious. Alrighty, if you've seen the videos that I've been putting up of the live in the studio ragdoll performances, and you were wondering, did we do Break You? Am I going to post a video of Break You? Yes, we did. I edited it this week. I'm actually going to include it at the end of this video, so if you want to hear us basically fluff our way through our own songs after not having played together for about 3 months, you can skip to the end of the video and enjoy that. But don't skip, stay, enjoy the questions. And the next question relates to the pickups in this guitar, the Fishman Fluence Classics. And I did a demo and review about these pickups a couple of months ago, and I promised in that video that I would check in after a couple of months. So let's check in with these pickups. I think the fact that they're actually still in here is probably testament to the fact that I do like them. I had Duncan Seth Lovers in here before I put these pickups in, and I loved them. They were great vintage sounding pickups, but I just kind of wanted something different in this guitar. I play this guitar live a lot, and the sets are really good at basically one thing, and that thing is kind of classic rock. I wanted something that I could use for those classic tones, but I could also play some chugga-chugga music on as well. And the Fluences let me do the chugga-chugga thing. What I really like about them is they're very kind of articulate and clear. The only thing I don't like is on the tone control, this is a push-pull, and you've got the kind of like, I forget what they call it. It's not a voice because the volume push-pull changes between two different humbucker voices. This thing basically just cuts a little bit of high end, and I never use it. I wish I had access to like a single coil voice or something like that on these pickups, but I don't. I've got two humbucker voices, but for two humbucker voices, I do like them. With the ridiculously filthy stuff, like I said, they're really articulate, and I like the way the neck and bridge pickups are balanced, especially for lead stuff. I could do that all day. Sometimes it feels like I do that all day. But for me, the litmus test of good humbuckers is if you put them both on, so the center position on the toggle switch, and you play with a clean sound, do they sound decent? And these definitely sound decent. Furthermore, if I've got a kind of dry version of that distorted tone I had before, the neck pickup cleans up pretty nice, I think. So yeah, I like them. I think they're really good. The only thing I wish I had was a single coil voice. And I think that's because these are a slightly older version. The newer version does let you access those options. So that's pretty cool. Fluences get a thumbs up from me. They're going to stay in this guitar for the foreseeable future. Anyway, alrighty, let's move on to the next question. This one is from Solar Guitar Studio. Firstly, I hope you're doing well, man. Thank you so much for every time you weigh in the comments or the questions, I get something out of it. And it's kind of nice that we can basically be friends across the medium of the internet. And that applies to so many other people who check in on the channel regularly. I love you all. I hope you're all staying safe and being well and good to one another. But this question relates to getting into using guitar cab impulses. And my advice would be, in your situation, a software solution, something like 2Notes Wall of Sound. It's free at the moment, so like what better way to get into something than downloading it and trying it for free. It comes with some IRs. If you like, you can grab the IRs that I've made of my cabinets. I will put a link in the video description, and I like those IRs, so maybe you'll like them as well. We seem to like similar things. But if you're looking for a hardware solution and you're looking to not spend too much money, something like the Poly Effects Digit would be my call, because not only does it load up cabinet impulses, you can load up reverb impulses. So you can load up impulses of classic units like the AMS reverbs or the Bricasti M7, and they sound pretty incredible. So in your situation, something like that, a nice small pedal. Otherwise, I know you watch a lot of my Axe-Fx videos, just get an Axe-Fx 3. You've got the Eventides, you've got all the other stuff. The Axe is going to simplify your workflow. It's going to be super inspiring. I think you'll really like the blocks layout and the way you can route things. It's going to integrate with your other gear. And I think it would be the sort of gear that you could quickly become a so-called power user of, because it's just going to do the things that you want it to do. So something free, Wall of Sound or an equivalent. If you want a nice little kind of compact solution, the Digit. If you want to just go God mode on all of it, Axe-Fx or FM3 like I'm using at the moment. On that note, I have tried the Celestion IRs. Somebody asked about the Celestion IRs. I've tried them. At the time, I didn't like them any more than the impulses I'm using in this video, the IRs that I made myself, so I basically didn't explore them any further. But if you're getting great tones out of them, and if you're liking them, that's kind of all that matters, because in my opinion, if you really want to make a digital modeler your own, finding a set of impulses or a set, what did I say? A set of impulses, an impulse, or a set of impulses that you really like, that you can kind of use across the board, is going to go a long way in helping you kind of shape your sound and your signature tone. So if you dig in the Celestion IRs, 2 thumbs up. That's what it is all about. There's no right or wrong with these particular things. Another piece of gear that people were asking about that I promised to do a video checkup about, the Elixir Optiwebs. I put them on my Custom 24 and I tried them and I really liked them. And then I broke a string. So I changed the whole set. I put a set of nano webs on there, and I realized how much more I like the nano webs, because I actually kind of like that silky coated feel. I'm just kind of used to it. It's on most of my main gigging guitars. For example, on my PRS single cut, back at the end of Feb, start of March, we did a 10-day Australian tour, and I used 1 set of strings on that guitar. And then I played it up until 10 days ago. So I used those strings probably longer than expected. They were pretty filthy when I pulled them off, but they sounded good. I use them in heaps of demo videos. I only took 1 guitar with me to all of those gigs, and I didn't have to change the strings. So that's pretty amazing. And I think for me at this stage of my life, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's why I'm sticking with the nanos. But I think the Optis are really cool. If you want the advantages of something like an Elixir string, but you don't like the coated feel, probably go with the Optis. Alrighty, specs on my Mac Mini. Off the top of my head, I don't really know. It's a 2012 model. I will put the specs on the screen right now. Am I going to try the new SLO-30? I would love to. I don't know how easy it is to get gear to Perth, Western Australia during a global pandemic while you've just launched a new boutique product. But, you know, if anyone wants to send me an SLO-30 to do a demo of, I will demo that thing, because I heard Ola England's video and it sounds pretty phenomenal. Of course it sounds phenomenal. It's a Soldano. I have a Soldano Hot Rod 50 Plus sitting over here, and it's still one of my favorite amps of all time. So I don't know what the differences in the specs are on the SLO-30 versus something like the Hot Rod, or even the, what did they do, the Hot Rod 25 a little while ago. But, you know, Soldano just kind of do good stuff period. Alrighty, this is the question I've been looking forward to. New discoveries on YouTube. What have I been watching and listening to, and what has been inspiring me? Andy Wood came up. His new YouTube series, The Woodshed, I think is just phenomenal. You should all go and subscribe to his channel and watch that. Not just because he's an incredible player and a great presenter and a really good teacher. And I've met Andy and hung out with him. He's like one of the world's funniest human beings in existence, just an all-round great dude. But he's been having amazing guests on his series. For example, he did a video with Tom Quayle recently. He's got a video with Mark Lettieri. Yeah, he's doing the good work at the moment. It's probably the best guitar instructional based YouTube channel out there at the moment. Having said that, a couple of other channels that are putting out some really good instructional content. Jack Gardner, incredible fusion player. If you're into guys like Tom Quayle, go and check out Jack. Just every time I watch him play, my brain just goes splat. And Jake Wilson, I've really been enjoying Jake's videos. Just the value that he's cramming into these free videos that he's doing is pretty incredible. And if you want to learn how to play fusion or a bunch of other things, his stuff is one of the best places to start. Or in my case, if you want to remind yourself that you don't know how to play fusion, go and watch some of those videos. Another channel that I've been really enjoying that is, I guess, tangentially related to guitar, because this guy plays guitar really well, is Ben and Gear. So Ben Jordan, aka the Flashbulb. I stumbled across his channel this week and I've just been absolutely chewing through his videos. It's one of those things where his whole perspective on gear, what he can do as a musician, a lot of it is based around modular synthesis and generative songs and looping and improvising and composing. It's yeah, he's just very good at music, and I like his entire philosophy around his channel. So check out Ben and Gear, because you will definitely learn something, and all the stuff about modular synthesis is just kind of blowing my mind at the moment. So that one definitely qualifies right there. And the other one that I've been enjoying, basically for entertainment value, is Dean Lamb's channel. If you don't know Dean, he's the guitarist in a technical death metal band called Archspire, and he has this great series of videos with his wife, who also plays guitar really well, where they just basically rip on one another the whole time. And I've been enjoying those. They're just good quality content, and they happen to be related to metal guitar. So that is what I've been enjoying. Now, I did mention that today's video is a sponsored video. It is sponsored by DistroKid, who are a digital distribution service for your music, which is really affordable. And I have been using DistroKid quite a bit for a couple of reasons. We put out a single at the start of the year called Follow the Leader, and I did it through DistroKid, and it took me all of 10 minutes to upload the track and basically feed it out to every streaming platform and download site worldwide. Furthermore, our distribution deal for our album Back to Zero recently, it didn't lapse, but basically the distributor is no longer doing digital distribution. So I had to re-upload our entire back catalog, which seemed like it was going to be a nightmare, but I did it with DistroKid, and again, it didn't take me 10 minutes. It probably took me about 25 minutes in total, and that was because I have pretty slow internet speed here. So yeah, I've been using it, and this is how easy it is to upload music using DistroKid. Uploading music's probably easier than trying to understand my accent. Depending on the type of plan you have, you're gonna have different options. I've got the Musician Plus plan. What I really like is that if you're an existing artist, all you have to do is enter your artist or band name, and it will automatically sync it up with the existing artist accounts on services like Spotify or Apple Music. There's all the things you would expect, like setting a release date, a pre-order, you can set your record label, you can upload your artwork very easily. You can set the primary genre from a bunch of other things. All you have to do is basically choose the file, navigate to your computer, and select the track. Then just basically upload it. Once you've done that, you can go through and basically tick the boxes and fill out the requisite information, like the song title. That's kind of important. And things like the songwriters, whether you've worked with collaborators. DistroKid will actually automatically sort out revenue sharing if you're working with collaborators, and there are optional extras like the ability to have your song recognizable on Shazam, or to have your song uploaded in perpetuity for a one-off fee. Furthermore, no matter what DistroKid plan you choose, you can get instant access to Spotify for artists and a verified verified Spotify account. You just have to navigate to the requisite tab under your account and select the artist you want to verify, so you can get that delicious little blue tick as well as access to all your analytics. I would say my favorite function though is the synced lyrics feature. A lot of different distributors let you upload the lyrics to your songs, but with DistroKid, you can dial up the song, and by holding down spacebar when you hear a lyric, it will automatically sync it up. So if you're using something like Apple Music to listen to your music, the lyrics will come up in time. It's a pretty glorious thing. This is how you do it. So the song's playing, then I'm gonna hold down spacebar and release it. It will go to the next line now. Kind of magic, right? Furthermore, if you want to sign up for DistroKid and release your music worldwide, there is a discount code in the video description. Go and try it out for yourself and put some music out. And when you do, send it to me because I will take some time to listen to it. Thank you to DistroKid for sponsoring this video, and we can move right along. The next question, if you're looking to get into the digital game and you're tossing up between an Axe-Fx Ultra, which I've got sitting in my rack over there, and an Axe-Fx 2, and you're roughly looking to spend the same amount of money, which one should you get? As much as I love the Ultra, I went from the Ultra to the AX8, and I found the AX8 so much quicker and easier to dial in. Furthermore, there was just a bunch of new features which made it a lot more usable, not at least the cab section, which has loads more factory IRs, which, like I said earlier, are a big part of finding your own sound. If you can make the stretch, get to use Axe-Fx 2. It's still an incredible unit, and I mean, they put out a firmware update for it recently, the Aries firmware, which borrows some amp modeling from the Axe-Fx 3, so it's still very much a relevant and phenomenal piece of gear. Somebody asked about the switching gap on the FM3. If you haven't already, get the new 1.05 firmware because that fixes a bunch of things when you're using the editor. But basically, if you're switching presets, there is an unavoidable gap because of the way the architecture works. But I've got a preset down here on my FM3 setup, which basically selects between 4 different scenes, actually 5 different scenes. And 4 of the scenes basically just engage a boost and the fat switch and then a delay, and you can switch them seamlessly as long as you don't change the channels in the amp or the cab block. I've got a video about all this stuff as well, but this is what it sounds like. You probably didn't hear any switching gaps because I wasn't changing channels on the amp or the cam block. I was just using scenes to basically gain stage my presets. So if you go in and set up your presets in the correct way, you can definitely get gapless switching with the FM3. If you want to go from like, you know, a Fender Champ with a 1x8 IR with like a Univibe in front of it and then switch over to like a Mesa Mark IV with a bunch of different delays, there's going to be a gap. It's kind of unavoidable. I just tend to use one preset live and use scenes, and I don't have any issues with it. Nashville tuning. I have actually never set up a guitar with Nashville tuning. I have played a guitar with Nashville tuning, but maybe what I will try is Frank Mbale. I saw a video with him. It might have been with Rick Beato, where he's got a standard tune guitar, but then his B and his E strings here are an octave lower. So it's basically Nashville tuning down an octave, and that sounded pretty amazing. So if you would like to hear me do a video with that, please let me know in the comments. Now, there are a bunch of questions directed towards Mr. Ryan Rafferty. If you don't know who Ryan is, he sings and plays bass in my band Ragdoll. And if you haven't listened to Ragdoll, what are you doing watching this channel? Go and check it out. He's an incredible, incredible singer and bass player. The fact that he does both at the same time is kind of like God tier. Don't tell him that I told you guys that. But yeah, a couple of questions for him. So why don't we just ask him about, 1, why he likes his Music Man bass and what the knobs do. 2, what his favorite Ragdoll song is to sing. And 3, why doesn't he wear shoes on stage?
I love chicks. How you going? Leon said you had some questions for me, and what a treat it is to be able to answer them for you. Hello, Leon. Thanks for having me, mate. This is my Music Man Stingray. I got this just before Steve Irwin was killed by a Stingray. so it always makes me think of him. And I affectionately referred to this guitar as Steve for a long time. But enough about that. The question was, why one pickup but lots of knobs? What's with that? So this one is how much do you want? That's your MIDI, schooner or pint. This one is your treble. That's like a lager or a wheat beer maybe. This one is your MIDI. That's like an ale, maybe like a pale ale or a brown ale maybe, even a red ale actually. That's probably more like it. That's your red ale. And that's your bottom end. That's your heavy, that's your stout. All of these knobs have that, I don't know what the term is to describe them, but they lock at the midpoint, so it's like a cut or a boost. I'll probably do another video with Leon over at his place, over at the Toy Library, and we can talk about all of the bass gear that I use, all of the bass gear that I have used, and what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Next question was, which Ragdoll song? I can just see this flock of galahs coming. The sun's going down, so they're cockatoos. Birdbrain. The song that I like to sing, and why? I like to sing Love on the Run because I really get to, here come the galahs, I really get to shriek and screech at the end of that one, and I like watching people's reactions when I sing that song because it starts off very moody and broody, and then I really get to open up. The other one that I like to sing is Rust. That's, I guess because it's fresh and it's a little bit of a style change for the way I sing. Most of the Ragdoll songs are really challenging to sing. They're getting easier, but that might be because I'm getting lazier. But yeah, they're all great to sing because, most of them mean something to me. So it's like therapy singing them. I get to relive a time in my life. Some of it I love reliving. Some of it I never want to live again. And it's just great to get that out without talking about it to anybody. It's a rare privilege. The other question was, why do you play bare feet? I like being barefoot most of the time anyway. So it's really a comfort thing. It started out when I realized that the shoes I had were hurting my feet. I think I just sort of in a rush bought a pair of shoes that were the wrong size, and we did this tour in them. And just every day, every night I'd be in bed and my feet would be throbbing. So I figured I'd just take them off at gigs and just at least let them breathe for that 45 minutes, just to give myself a break. And then I just like the feel of it. I don't fall over as much. I don't trip as much when I'm barefoot. It's easier. It's better for your balance and that sort of thing. So, funny story about going barefoot. When we read a review that was in French, and we translated it to English, and someone said, or this French guy said, the singer Ryan Rafferty was barefoot, perhaps Aboriginal. And I just have no idea what that even means, but it was funny to read. Thanks very much for your interest, thanks for your questions, and thanks very much to Leon for having me. See you guys soon. Chicks.
How do I sound like Thin Lizzy? This seems like a question that I don't really have time to answer in a Q&A, but if you would like me to do a breakdown of some Thin Lizzy riffs, I know I've been promising a Thin Lizzy 5-killer riff series. I have been working on it. It's all about just programming those drums and learning to play the bass lines. That is the time-consuming thing for me. Or if you just kind of want me to do like a Thin Lizzy 5-minute tones, again, let me know in the comments, because they are the band that got me into music, and Scott Gorham is still a god in my eyes, in my opinion. Just like the coolest looking guitar player ever, and he had a whole lot of tasty licks as well. Yeah, I love Thin Lizzy. All right, we got time for a couple more questions. One, will I try a Marshall JVM on the channel? Yes, it is like one of the things that is right near the top of my list of amps to demo. I just haven't been able to find one to borrow yet. If you're in Perth and you've got a JVM and you can loan it to me for like a day or two, please hit me up. I will make you a delicious cup of tea in return for you bringing that amp around and letting me try it, because so many people have been asking about it. And this will be the last question for today, but last week I talked about my favorite amps of all time, and one of the responses was, well, no more love for the DSL-50. And in all honesty, the DSL-50 is still one of my favorite amps of all time. I would never ever be upset if I got a DSL-50 as a backline amp. I still love it. I probably just wasn't thinking of it at the time. I play the Cherrytone and the Soldano more than it nowadays, but that's also because I play the Axe effects way more than any of those amps. But the JVM, the DSL, when I tried a JVM, I wasn't super into it, so I'm kind of keen to revisit it because that was a long time ago. The DSL is excellent, and, am I going to turn this into a rant about Marshall? I got like an email in my inbox from gearnews.com and it was like, Marshall have released a new Bluetooth speaker. Wow, that's great. They have this legacy about making the best amps for rock music ever, right? And they have just fully descended into being a lifestyle brand, and companies like Friedman and Cherrytone and Metropolis, they're all making better Marshalls than Marshall are making now. I know I've touched on this before, but what's going on there? Like, are they just content to put their logo on smartphones and Bluetooth speakers? They're probably making way more money out of it. So from a business point, I guess that kind of makes sense. That I'm sure like Jim Marshall is kind of rolling in his grave at the moment because, they have this long history of just making these iconic amplifiers. If you think of like every era of music, there was a classic Marshall amp that kind of coincided with it, and that kind of stopped with the JVM. They haven't released a new flagship for a long time, and I'm pretty confident that if there was an amp that had the specs of my Cherrytone Molecular, but it said Marshall on it, so many more people would just go out and buy one immediately, especially if it was made in the UK as well. But Marshall, much like Gibson, they kind of hit this critical mass and they transitioned to being a lifestyle brand. And now it just doesn't mean anything when you see Marshall on something, unless it's an old Marshall when they did mean something. So, kudos to companies like Cherrytone and Friedman for doing what Marshall should be doing. And I'm going to support those companies by buying their stuff, like the Cherrytone Molecular. Marshall don't make an amp like that, but they should, which is why I went and bought a Cherrytone. Props to a company like Mesa Boogie. They haven't sold out yet. They haven't become a lifestyle brand. They're still putting out new amplifiers every year, and cool amplifiers like the Triple Crown. And I mean, they did the Electrodyne a while ago and the Stiletto. They're always putting out kind of a cool amp. Even though the amps they've put out recently aren't kind of to my taste, well done, Mesa. You're still kind of flying the flag for quality products. And everybody kind of knows that if you see Mesa Boogie or you see Boogie or you see Mesa Engineering on something, that it's kind of going to be good. Like Paul Reed Smith, you just know that it's going to be consistent and good. Anyway, it is a beautiful day outside, and as much as I love talking to you wonderful people, I'm going to go outside and enjoy some sunshine on my Friday afternoon. If you have the chance to do the same thing, I would highly recommend it. To all my friends in the USA, happy Independence Day. Be safe, be good to one another. I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, and here's Break You.